Hello, everyone. My name is Eric Clark. I am an artistic producer for Patchwork Theater Company, and I am joined today by Jill Jones, the director of We Will Not Describe the Conversation, a play by Eugenie Carabatsos, who also joins me today. How are both of you?
So good, Eric. Thank you.
Great to be here. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, so could you tell me both a little bit about yourself, starting with Eugenie?
Sure, yeah, I'm a playwright. I'm originally from New York, but now I live in rural New Hampshire, which I love, especially during the pandemic times. Started playwriting after college, then I lived in New York City for a while, then I went to grad school, and since then have been pursuing playwriting as well as screenwriting and also writing fictional podcasts. So anything in the dramatic art form.
That's fantastic. Yeah, thank you so much. Jill, can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Jill Jones. I recently graduated from San Diego State University with a degree in performance and theater arts. But while I was there, I was kind of forced to create in a different way because our school wasn't necessarily producing the kind of stuff that I wanted to work on. So I started directing, and I met some amazing professors at San Diego State who kind of guided me into directing. So while I graduated with a degree in performance, a lot of my work at school was actually more behind the scenes. So I was doing marketing, I was doing directing. I still got to act, and I really do enjoy acting as well. But ever since I graduated, a lot of my work has been going towards behind the scenes directing. Right before the pandemic hit, I was assisting a really awesome director at Scripps Ranch Theater, so I'm hoping that when all this blows over, we'll be able to go back to that. But also, I'm really interested in different forms of theater. I really, really love site-specific work. I loved Zoom plays, and I did work on some Zoom stuff with Patchwork, and so really excited to be a part of this.
And I'm really excited to have both of you here. It's such a fantastic opportunity that we've been given. Let's just kind of dive in and talk about the show. Eugenie, could you tell me a little bit about what this show is, what it's about?
Yeah, so We Will Not Describe the Conversation is, it's inspired by Crime and Punishment, but it's a feminist reimagining of the book, focusing on two of the side characters who are the Sonia and Dunya, who I've changed to Sonia and Danny. And they were represented as kind of the Madonna and the whore in the book. And I wanted to investigate these characters in a new light. But I set the play in the Midwest now-ish. And we still have this murder hanging over us, like in the book. But this now, the conversation is between the two women dealing with Raskolnikov, who is Danny's brother and Sonia's lover, his actions, and the fear that they'll one day actually end up just like him. They have some dark desires waiting to be uncovered.
That's fantastic. Jill, when you read this piece initially, you had this amazing idea to create this show into like an audio play format. Which is something I personally didn't think it would be living in, but it worked out really well. Can you tell me a little bit about what inspired that direction towards the audio play format?
Absolutely. So when I read the play initially, I loved it, but I was also reading it through the lens of 2020. And I love reading plays, but I was starting to get kind of bogged down with like the idea of not being able to see this right now. And I thought, well, maybe we don't really have to see it right now. While it would be really, really great, I think that maybe this could be something else. So I love listening to podcasts, and that's been like one of my biggest pastimes. So I thought, maybe we can combine these two things, and this could become a new form for me, at least, because I've never played with this form before. I just think that the characters they all have such amazing aspects to them, and I thought I would really like to hear these characters in my ears. So, yeah. that's what did it for me.
Wonderful. And Eugenie, you had this really amazing piece right before the beginning of the play in the script. And you had talked about a little bit just now about being inspired by Crime and Punishment. And you had this amazing piece at the beginning of your show talking about that inspiration. Could you dive a little bit further into what inspired this?
Yeah, so I was reading this book actually as when I was a homeschool teacher in New York after I graduated college. I had never read Crime and Punishment before, but it was one of the books that we were supposed to read with my student. And I got really into the novel. It was fascinating. It was really engaging. And then we get to this amazing part of the book, which is basically the main character, Raskolnikov, has murdered 2 people, and his sister is about to tell his girlfriend, his girlfriend is about to tell his sister what had happened. And there's this sentence, and it's basically just like, we will not describe the conversation between the 2 women and the emotions that they shared, or the friendship that arose, or something to that effect. And I just remember being so pissed because I was like, what? This is like the most interesting part of the book that, and we've left his perspective a little bit before. So I was like, why can't we see this conversation? What is up with this? So that, I just thought, as soon as I read it, I was like, that's a play. Like, that conversation between these 2 characters is a play. And then I shelved it away for a couple years. Was working on other stuff, and got, I always had it in the back of my head that I wanted to revisit it. And so when I did, I knew I didn't want it to be just like Russian and, take place back in the day. Like, I knew I didn't want to do that kind of research, and I wanted it more to be, just a loose inspiration. And so I went into it thinking, like, I will borrow from the novel when it's useful to me, and I will go away from the novel when that suits my story better. Since I knew I was going to change a lot about the characters, since the characters are such sketches in the book, I figured I really had the license to do that. So that's really what inspired the play, and it kind of went from there. And thinking about these women and how there's so much more to them than just these images of this, this prostitute basically, and this like idealized woman. I also thought, well, could these women do something like what Raskolnikov did? What's that? Like, let's explore women and all of their abilities and, positive, negative, violent, all of those things. And so that's really what I wanted to capture in the play.
I think you did an amazing job doing that and really expanding on just one line in an otherwise very, very long book into something that's really
long.
It's a big book.
And I should say that you really don't need to read the book in order to get the play.
I will admit, when I read that part of the inspiration, I was like, I have not read Crime and Punishment. I wonder if this is all just going to go straight over my head. And it really felt like that part of the inspiration was just kind of icing on the cake, because I thought it was really interesting that you could expand on something so small in a very large book, but I didn't feel like I was missing anything. I didn't feel like I didn't understand what was going on because I didn't have a larger context for the show. So that was a really beautiful job doing that.
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to be sure that was the case, because I don't think I'd have a very large audience otherwise. But for any like real die-hard Dostoevsky fans, there's some good Easter eggs in there.
Yeah.
Jill, correct me if I'm wrong, but most of your experience is with live and in-person theater. How did you feel directing this kind of piece in a virtual format, like an audio play?
Yeah, so I have directed over Zoom before for Patchwork, and I felt great about it. I actually didn't feel like I was going to get as connected to the cast. My biggest thing was I didn't want to work with anyone who I had worked with before, and I didn't know like what that was going to be, but it actually turned out to be amazing, and I felt like I wanted even more rehearsal time because the cast was just so wonderful and they were so eager to work. Even though we're like thousands of miles apart, everyone was just so engaged and willing to try stuff, and I was just so happy. And it really honestly did give me a little bit of a taste of an actual rehearsal room, and I was just so grateful to feel that in October of 2020. It was really nice.
That's amazing. And being able to sit in on a couple of rehearsals, seeing the energy in that room, it felt like a real rehearsal room. It was fantastic. People were laughing, they were joking, they were having a good time.
It really did.
It was absolutely fantastic. It made me jealous that I wasn't like one of the cast and being able to be a part of that.
Yeah.
Eugenie, typically when a playwright writes a play, it's for the intention of having it staged live on an in-person theater. What are your thoughts and feelings about this production being produced in an audio format?
I am thrilled about it because for many reasons. I had never considered that this play would be a good audio play, but then when I got an email from Keon about that potentially happening, I was like, yeah, that makes so much sense. Part of that is because when you first write a new play, it goes through this like black hole of readings where you just have like a million readings. And the thing about readings, that they're great and useful and annoying and frustrating, but they really make you focus on the stage directions, because when you're doing a reading, you want it to not be super boring for the people listening. So you really, make sure that you try to make sure your stage directions are more poetic, or they're just as engaging as the dialogue, which should be true anyway, but it's especially true when you're going to go through this like development process. And so it was a cool opportunity, I felt, after all of these reading experiences, to then be able to integrate some of the stage directions into the performance itself, because obviously when it's live, you're seeing the actions, but you're not hearing this voice of the narrator. So I thought that would be really cool, because I always felt that the stage directions were a character in the play, and it really helped with the rhythm of the play. And so I thought this would be a really great opportunity to kind of showcase that and do theater in a slightly different way.
Absolutely. I really think Jill did a beautiful job of creating that other character with the actor Kevin Herman, rating the stage directions like that. Just being able to listen to that complete experience altogether of really creating that atmosphere was really wonderful to see. Eugenie, for everybody listening, do you have any other plays as well besides this one that other people might be able to read?
Yes, you can find more about my plays on the New Play Exchange, which is actually how Patchwork found this play, I believe, at least.
Yes, it is.
And yeah, okay. Or on my website, which is eugeniecarabatsos.com. But yes, I have a few other plays. They're not all like as dark as this one, thankfully, question mark. But the one that I just finished, I'll tell you about that one. So that's actually about phone banking for an election, so timely. It's a woman who moves in with her estranged son and starts phone banking for her preferred presidential candidate. And it's basically like she gets these intimate connections with these random people that she's phone banking with, but when she's with her son and his family, she's really isolated from them. So it's about isolation and communion and where we can connect. So that is called A Series of Inelastic Collisions. And so that's the play I've been working on most recently. We did a Zoom performance of it, speaking of Zoom plays, earlier this fall, which was really fun. So that's on the internet somewhere.
A really timely script to be released for right now. Like that's right on the money right there.
Yeah, I wrote it after the last election, but it's not about it's not super Trump versus Clinton. It's it's loosely inspired by that, but it's really about this woman and her family and how you connect with people that you disagree with fundamentally, and looking for love and all of that.
That's really beautiful. Jill, can you tell us a little bit about where we can listen to this show once it's released?
Absolutely. So the goal for this was to basically create a very easily accessible play. So anyone can listen to it So we plan to release it on YouTube in an audio format, Podbean, and Spotify, all for free. So no one will have to pay anything. We are going to definitely open up a donation base. If anyone wants to donate, all that money will go to the actors and our lovely creators, which I'm kind of sad that Josh and Andrew aren't here right now, but Josh Conception is creating a original score for this play, and Andrew Gutierrez is going to be sound mixing everything, which is a huge job, and I'm so appreciative for both of them being on this project because we really could not have done it without them. I've learned so much from them. So we're going to be making it available widely, and those are the 3 main platforms, but if we come up with anything else, we're just going to be posting it onto our Instagram and our Facebook. I think that's all. Those are all the main platforms, right?
Yeah, they are. And we're planning on releasing it December 4th. And again, a very huge shout out to Josh and Andrew, who are doing so much work. Another big shout out to Keon, the artistic founder of Patchwork, for doing such an amazing job bringing this piece together and bringing all these wonderful artists together. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you both of you for this time. I definitely love talking with both of you, and I hope you both have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Eric. You too.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.